Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to see you all here on our event. Welcome. And today, our topic of the conversation is custom software development and emerging technologies and trends. And before we go, I definitely want to share our market insights with you. And thanks for our wonderful speakers. It will be possible today. I also want to highlight our agenda. We have 3 speakers, and each speaker have about 5 to 10 minutes to share his insights. And then after that, we have 10 minutes for Q&A session in the end of the today's live. Our outlines, which I want to discuss today, is definitely AI and machine learning, IoT integration, and business needs across verticals and sectors. In the meantime, I really want you to blink me and say that you hear us very good and you see us. And I would be also grateful if you can mention where are you listening us from, because last time, I think a couple of months ago, I hosted similar event here on my LinkedIn for my audience, and there were people from 50 different countries, which was surprising and very interesting. I have a phone here, so every single time if you want to text us questions, I will be happy to share it with our speakers, and don't hesitate to ask questions. So my name is Genia Xasis. I am CEO and founder of Multiplyers. My main business is to bring global technologies to GCC region. I'm living here in Abu Dhabi, and I want to contribute to Vision 2030. And today, I think that we also want to discuss a little bit more about AI development of ecosystem here in GCC. And our first speaker is Jimmy Nassif. I was listening to his wonderful presentation at NVIDIA GTC conference in California in 2019, when he was leading the innovation department at BMW. Today, Jimmy is a CTO of BMW Group-founded company idealworks. And this company is developing and distributing innovative robots and management software for logistics solutions. Jimmy,
Thank you, Genia, for having me here. It's really a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Yes, as already Genia said, so we had the pleasure to meet in 2019 at the GTC, and we've been working with NVIDIA since 2016. I believe a lot of you guys never heard about NVIDIA before 2016, but we were already working with them. We brought them to the industry at BMW. We were the first one to deploy with them the first digital twins of the BMW. You may have seen it in 2021 on the keynote where Jensen Huang and our CTO at BMW presented it and showcased it for the world. And we strongly believe that with the technology of NVIDIA, but also with the technology of the industry, how the industry is going, especially the Industry 4.0 or even the Industry 5.0 right now, what we are all talking about it, it's very helpful to bring the technology together and make sure that we are able to introduce new technology to enable logistics, but also production in big industries. And that's how we all started at Idealworks, which already, as Jenny has mentioned, it's a daughter company of the BMW Group. So the main idea behind it was to introduce new technology to optimize the logistics inside of BMW, but also to reduce the cost. Because at the end of the day, we all try to introduce new technology to optimize the cost, because there need to be a business case behind it before introducing new technology. There are very few people who are lucky in this world to being able to work with new technology without having a business case behind it. That's more researcher. Unfortunately, we come from the industry, so basically we have to showcase the business case behind it. One of the use cases that we presented back then in 2016 was to develop a smart transport robot to get rid of repetitive transport inside of the production and to optimize the logistic processes and make it as flexible as possible, but also as optimal as possible for the BMW and to reduce the cost of the logistics processes. Just for you to know how much is the cost of the logistics inside of BMW, back in 2016, the budget of the logistics was around 13 billion euro. So basically, it's a huge amount of money. And our main goal was to introduce new technology to reduce this cost. And with Smart Transport Robot, we were able to get rid of most of the forklift missions inside of the warehouse, but also inside of the production. So we were able to produce a robot that drives from A to B, fully autonomous, and that's where the AI comes from. So basically, the first AI application inside of our robots was the autonomous navigation. Also to introduce the perception and the recognition for our robots to being able to drive fully autonomously without any IT infrastructure and to recognize object and avoid these objects. And back then, this was a novum in this industry because we were all used to AGVs, which called autonomous guided vehicle. So basically, it follows a line, which could be also a virtual line, but also not an AMR, which is an autonomous mobile robot, which could avoid object and not follow a line, but go from an A to B and find its way fully autonomously based on AI. And we tailored this solution based on the needs of BMWs because we didn't find any solution on the market that fulfill our needs back then. So we introduced this new technology. We were able to test it in one of our plants in 2016. And by today, which is 8 years later, we have around 25 different clients worldwide. Not only automotive company like BMW and Toyota, for example, we have also retail, we have 3PL and 2PL logistics, we have first tier and second tier suppliers of automotive, and we have also appliances, production of appliances that also using our technology. We have more than 1,100 robots implemented productively inside of our production sites and warehouses, all based on AI, as I said, autonomous navigation, perception and recognition, using any type of AI on edge, but also in the cloud. So we use AI in the cloud to optimize our traffic and fleet, but also we use AI on edge because we know for a fact that in the industry and the production, there is a big chance of losing Wi-Fi and connectivity. So that's why we have to make sure that everything is running perfectly. And that's why we split AI on the cloud and the edge to make sure that our robots are still able to run on their own without any connectivity. So
Jimmy, can I ask you about the industries? Because you mentioned several industries. Where do you see the biggest potential of AI robotization?
It's a very good question, Genia. Honestly speaking, I strongly believe in automotive because of one reason. They are so far away already in automation. It's not because in the other fields you won't find the automation or the need of the robots, but in other businesses they are still way behind the automotive. So the automotive, they are trying to optimize their production and logistic process as much as possible because, as you already see and you are reading in the news today, for example, what's happening with the European cars. So the challenge coming from China is way too high. So in order to reduce the prices, you have to get rid of labor. You have to automate as much as possible. So that's why everyone is pushing automation and robotization in order to make sure that the robots are able to replace a human being, but also support a human being on the production line, which is also very important. So you need to keep the quality very high, but you need to make also sure that your processes are running fully optimal. So just for you also to have an idea, at BMW Group, every 56 seconds a car leave a production line. So the tags are around 56 seconds. So if there is any problem causing like 1 minute of line stop, you are losing already one car. And that's why it's very, very, very important to have a very high qualitative processes in order to keep this production running perfectly, but also in order to make sure that the quality is still the same, and in order to make sure you are running 3 shifts. So most of the car manufacturers are running 3 shifts 24/7. So that's why the need of automation is there. But that doesn't mean that other businesses are not needing this automation. I believe, and that's my opinion, my humble opinion, that the automotive sector is a little bit ahead of everything else. And that's why they are investing a lot in the field of automation already, and everyone else is following. And that's why we believe after the automotive that the first tier and second tier supplier of the automotive business will be following because their supply chains are connected and they have to make sure also that the prices are the same in order to being able to deliver to the automotive sector.
Interesting. And when you're talking about robotization, are you talking more about software robotization or hardware robotization as well? And my question is about what is IoT industry right now, how it feels right now?
So basically, it's a mix of both. So at the end of the day, you will need to introduce the robots as a hardware, but mainly everything is run in the software world today. So basically, you need to connect all your IoT devices. So if we take our example in the industry with our robots, at the end of the day, our robots need to be connected to any IoT device in the production line. So I deliver to conveyors. So these conveyors need to be connected through the cloud. So whenever my robots is coming to this conveyor and delivering the goods, the conveyor need to know that it's getting the goods and sending it to the next station. We need to be connected to lift, traffic lights, barrier, fire alarms. So every IoT device inside of the warehouse has been connected to the robots. And if you want to go one step further, I strongly believe in the future, let's say the manufacturing side, the factory itself will become a robot. So the factory, you have to see it as a robot, and not the robots inside of the factory will be the robot, because everything else in the factory will be connected. And that's very, very important towards which direction we are going. And you can also go one step further, what we are already doing, if we want to get back to the NVIDIA use case. So we are using simulation very strongly to optimize our own processes, to test our own processes, because at the end of the day, as I already mentioned, we are not allowed to do any downtime on the production line. So that's why it's very important for us to test everything in the simulation before even deploying it in the real world. But at the same time, when creating our own digital twins, we are gathering the synthetic data out of the digital twins to use them again to train your own algorithms. So it's, if you think about it, it's a loop. So you use AI to create digital twins, to connect them to your real robots, to your real world, and then you use the synthetic data which you are getting out of this digital twin to train your own robots in order to make them more efficient but more smart enough to take their own decision on their own. Because we all know, in order to get our computer vision or the perception or the recognition to a field where you can say that your model is 99%, because you will need it at this level in order to being able productive, you will need not thousands but millions of pictures or millions of data streams in order to being able to train your own models. And in order to gather all these data in real time and in real world, it's almost impossible, because you will always have a situation that you will not be able to gather. So that's why today we are gathering all our data from a synthetic data. We got to a point where we are able to say that we are training our models 80% on synthetic data, 20% on real data, and then we are evaluating all our models on 100% real data to make sure that these data or the models are not overfitting, and to make sure that these models are good enough to deliver the right decision, so we can rely on them in the real production and the real logistic processes.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that you also have some insights about GCC region. Yes, probably you can also share it with us.
So usually if we look to the ROI, return of interest in the business itself, on the GCC is way lower than in Europe because the labor cost is way higher. But that's exactly what we thought before getting to the GCC area. So one of our clients now in the GCC area, it's Emirates Group, and that's something what we are seeing right now happening in the region, that the labor costs are increasing. And at the end of the day, the people who are looking for automation are not only looking for the aspects of the labor cost, but they are also looking for the quality, for the potential of scaling, because we all know how many people are like leaving the job, looking for a different other job. So the fluctuation is way too high. The change could be happening. And at the end of the day, as a business, you need to maintain the quality and you need to maintain the possibility to scale. And in order to make sure you can scale and you can keep the quality, automation is the best answer for it. So basically, all the big companies also in the GCC area are now looking for automation, are investing in automation, and they are also starting on increasing their own, let's say, robots fleets, if we can call it that way, and investing in this technology, and especially in AI. And we all know, for example, last June, if I'm not mistaken, last February, Jensen Huang, for example, visited Dubai. He had a huge keynote there with the Minister of AI in the UAE, presenting the vision of the AI in the GCC area, where the Emirates is playing a huge role there, plus the Saudi Arabia, for sure, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that's showing the potential of the region, but also how much potential there is there into investing right now in the right sector of AI and robotics. And I strongly believe this would be the near future happening.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. I think that the last question to you from our listeners is, what are companies' common challenges when integrating AI into the current systems and processes? And I think you will be probably, you collected the whole list of different questions from all different sectors, companies. So please.
No problem. I think the most important thing is the change management. So that's the most important thing. So you need to, at the end of the day, the worst thing that could happen is to impose your own technology on your own people in the production or in your own people in their company. Because at the end of the day, you have to get them along with this technology, to train them, to tell them why is this technology there. And You don't want to digitize or automate a process that's already running perfectly. You need to look to the pain point. You need to understand where this technology could be helpful in order for these people to push in the same direction. It's not the technology the problem. The technology will never be the challenge. It will be challenging, but it will not be the main challenge. The technology itself, it's solvable. It's not rocket science. The main problem itself, it's really the acceptance at the people and the acceptance of accompanying this change. And this is what we call the change management. So you have to make sure that the people in your company is willing to understand why is this automation happening, how is this automation supporting them in their daily business, and how they can help us implement this automation in a very fast way and optimize it. Because you will never be able to implement an automation or robotic or digitization solution that will work perfectly from the first day. The optimal solution will be happening on time, while the experts who've been working on this process are bringing their own, let's say, their own knowledge to the system in order to being better automated and better implemented. But the technology itself is not the problem. So you have always to look to the real problem that need to be solved. Bring the people who are working on this problem along to the journey to support you, to help you with their knowledge to automate your own system and to make it even better. And that's how it should work. And that's how it has been working the whole days, I would say, inside of BMW, but also now with our company having access to different other clients with every other client.
Genia, thank you very much for your insights. It's always a pleasure to work with you. And I want to follow up on things that you just shared about the automation that probably it could be customized at certain points. And I think that Alex, you can take it from there and share your vision how custom software development emerging is developing and how this market is growing and which trends do you see?
Genia, thank you for inviting me today. Jimmy, thanks for the great keynote.
Thank you
Always
so much.
interesting. I believe probably one last question from my side. What do you think about like autonomous vehicles? I know that the BMW can like park already, but what will be the next, big thing after the autonomous vehicles? What do you think? What do you think
So,
it will be?
I think the big change of the autonomous vehicle is that, again, it's not the technology itself, but the entourage where the car will be driving. So that's the approach, for example, that our Chinese colleague took in order to build cities where the cars could be driving autonomously. Because we will never get to a point where a car will be driven fully autonomously besides someone drunk driving beside it. So it will
Yeah,
always...
we need a validation here, yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to make sure that the whole, I would say, environment where this car is driving fully autonomously is working. And that's why it has been very challenging and it will continue to be very challenging because our cities, our roads, our cities and roads are not ready for autonomous driving. And I think the combination between having people driving fully autonomously and people driving fully on their own, this would be the biggest challenge to overcome. Nevertheless, I believe whenever you will find an area where only autonomous driving will be ongoing, so it shouldn't be a problem right now. From a technology perspective, everything is happening. So you will need sensor on the car, but also sensor in the cities to recognize the car and the whole traffic signs. So that's my answer towards it.
Yeah, 100% agree. We need acceptance from the society first, from the government, from the laws to make it happen. Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank you all for the time and for the opportunity, Genia, especially. Sorry, I need to jump to another meeting. But again, Genia shared my contacts on LinkedIn. If you have any question, please feel free to reach out. And again, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Genia, for the time. And have a nice day. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alex,
thank you so much. Yeah, let me introduce myself. I'm Alex Velesnitski. I work as a Chief Technical Officer at Timspark, and I have like 17 years background in software development. I was working as an engineering manager, as a software architect, as a CTO, and my current role is in Timspark. I actually oversee the technology strategy and try to align the software we're developing with the business goals of our clients. So the Timspark is a software development company, like we've mentioned already on this meeting. We actually do only software development, and I'm gonna share a couple of cases when we've done something for our clients who had their own hardware. And basically, So the Timspark was founded in 2022, and now we have like a network of more than 1,000 vetted engineers. So we heavily, speaking of the trends, we heavily invest in our Python department, in our AI tech, and actually the whole focus of the company is to provide some sort of unmatched expertise for our clients, for our end customers who doesn't have, like, for example, expertise in AI software development or have some sort of request for developing custom products. If we speak about the trends, I foresee, and I'm currently working in Timspark with my team of developers. I'm not going to add anything to automotive or logistics because Jimmy, stole the show completely here. I personally heavily believe in the healthcare trend. So this is probably, even in my perspective, even the bigger thing, because the approach to use the AI for patient to like make some sort of predictive analytics, make some personalized treatment plan before something that happened with the patient. This could be critical for the society, for the whole companies that use the AI. And speaking of the concrete cases, we've developed, for one of clients, for European healthcare provider, we've already developed a mobile application with the ability to diagnose asthma. So basically, this is a case when there was involved like a dedicated team, all from our side, like 6 developers. Technologically wise, it's again Python cares. So the whole team did the amazing job in application, can help like monitor asthma symptoms, get some analytics and some track triggers, environmental triggers to like prevent the asthma attack and get the life of our patients a little bit better. This is this healthcare thing and the AI in healthcare. I believe the whole people and the whole clients will get used to that in the upcoming years. So all these wearable devices, they're already on the market. So I believe that we will see even more and more applications and the software with some sort of breakthrough capabilities to detect some health issues. The second topic I believe in, and it's already again in the market and making some sort of revolution, it's NLP things. It's natural language processing tools. And basically, I might say that my team is currently working with Google's Gemini and the Facebook Llama open source models. This is becoming a little bit industry standard. So pretty good tools for the for the question answering, for the translation, for the summarization, and basically for for content generation. And luckily, I have my good friend Kyle, who later continues this topic in terms of NLP. I personally think that the NLP is probably not so ready for the mission critical systems. But again, yesterday with the OpenAI released the O1 thing, which I called like a GPT-5 for me. And this is a little bit slow model, but I think this is again next step. We are next step closer to AGI in some sort of things. Like a third point for the AI and the cases we've done at Timspark, I believe that AI can be, and it's already used in a fintech, in banking. So it's a pretty interesting approach to detect, some sort of unusual behavior, some sort of untypical behavior for the user for the transactions. And we've one of like a prime example from the Timspark, we did a project for one of the US banks. So this is example of the team augmentation. These guys already have the IT team. So we did some sort of microservice or probably microservice, again on using the Python Scala and the scikit-learn framework for the Python side. And the thing is, this whole application, this whole microservice allows to, again, detect some sort of transaction anomalies to prevent fraud and, to prevent some sort of attacks on this, on the bank structure. So again, this is example when the like 10 engineers on our side, and we speak about like a little bit more larger team that we actually provide, our core team. And speaking of this, not everyone on this team were like ML engineers. To have a proper, AI implementation, I don't remember who exactly asked this question. In chat, I believe that the whole data should be prepared. The whole data should be labeled, normalized in some way. So we had data engineers involved on this type of product. And again, for that type of job, for like AI involvement in a fintech, this is the next big thing. But again, we at Timspark, we're not doing only AI things. We can provide like a full cycle development. Why talk about the AI only when we can have a full cycle brilliance, how we call it. And our next case, Jenna, sorry, you want something to add?
Yes, I am actually very curious because you guys at Timspark are supporting different companies and different sides of the companies in their software development. I really wanted to know, let's say, if I am a Series A company or I'm a corporate company. So can you tell something more about the landscape and how the needs from, let's say, Series A company to corporate company are different?
Well, thank you. That's an interesting question. I mean, if we compare these two like businesses, I believe the second one, like an enterprise, already established business, typically this type of business they already have its own team. So we can help on a team augmentation, like providing something. For some reason they don't want to like have on board or don't have enough experience or must or require guarantee that hey, we need a team of engineers who already did something similar that we wanted like done on our IT infrastructure, right? So basically in this case, in terms of AI standpoint and in terms of like data structure, we usually see something already developed and some amount of data, like I'm talking about big data, already existing in the system. So in terms of technology, this usually requires, hey, before tuning something, before creating any models, we have to like put some sort of data engineering before, or like data preparation. And this is about like existing like enterprise companies. For the Series A, I believe there might be some sort of approach when our core team with the whole knowledge like for the framework for the open source model can immediately start working on with our client and deliver some models, some ready, some MVPs, some sort of like things that already can be worked without any data preparation. I'm accepting like, hey, if this is some sort of startup, they already don't gather so much data from their client yet. So it's like a different approaches. And on the very first, for the Series A, we can build like a small model with a relatively high number of corrections or mistakes and move it to production. For the existing companies with a large amount of data, everything needs to be like prepared first to become usable in production.
My next question goes to you as well, Alex. Do you actually notice that some companies are hesitant to share data with you, or it's not the case? And how do
that's actually ethical and regulatory concerns in terms of AI data is in my perspective it's the basis of like everything. So it's a typical the very typical thing. That's why some companies decide to develop their products using the in-house team. So we're not. So in that case, we could suggest, advise, consult. But again, if they're not sharing the data, it's very hard to build something on the on top of that using the AI. It's still possible because data can be like generated, as Jimmy said, like it can be like obfuscated. Our clients may have pre-trained models already for us to like tune them somehow. But again, to create something production ready, it's usually requires to have like a full data access to be able to tune model and data here and there to become relevant for the use case.
Guys, if you have some questions to Alex, please share it. And maybe, Carl, you also have some questions to Alex.
Well, I mean, I've been working closely with Timspark for some time, so I know a fair bit about how Timspark operates. But I think sort of I can probably introduce myself. My name is Carl. Thank you for having me on, first and foremost. Like I said, I've been working with Timspark for the better part of a year. But before I, struck out on my own, I used to work for Microsoft. And before that, I was in Oracle, and before that, I was in Samsung and HTC. So it's been a big tech for me my entire career. But what really got me into tech in the first place was artificial intelligence. So I've been doing that for way longer than I've been doing tech. Probably 13, 14 years I've been a part of this community. And sort of when these new generation of models came around, so generative AI models came around in 2022, that was sort of my cue to, go out and do something on my own. And initially I worked with Timspark while I was working on my own venture. Today, that venture is operational, FenxLabs. And what we do more specifically is that we use generative AI models and turn them into agents, right? So specialized agents that can go out and do automated tasks, right? So what we go out and sell in the market is essentially automation platforms. So to Alex's point of customers giving us data, we don't really do that. Our approach is that we go in and we deploy this 100% into customers' environment, models, infrastructure, and all, right? The call it little panache that we bring to the table is the agent configuration, right? So agents is a way of scaling an AI system's capabilities in terms of just duplicating a model or instances of a model, fine-tuning those instances and getting them to do tasks, right? Once you get all of the, or once you put all of these components together, it makes up a recipe where you can automate pretty much anything, right? Because what you've essentially created is this tissue between systems that you're already using, right? So you can deploy this in your infrastructure, connect in all the apps, all of the legacy systems, everything that you're using, and then automate tasks that needs to be done across these systems. That is very much what we do. So it's a same alley, same street as Timspark. It's just a different type of shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the listeners here said that he want me to invite to the next meeting someone from Quadly. It's a technology startup that is building an artificial intelligence-driven professional social network and application integration. Yes, we will be happy to have this someone from this company next time. But this time we have the speakers, and I'm really impressed that we don't have here a fluffy AI thing. And Carl, I also reviewed what you are doing. So you're also very focused on different AI applications for industry, right? Can you also share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so just to be clear, I believe in the ecosystem, right? So when we look at the future of AI, it's not really about the gimmicky things like AI avatars and content generation and building this as a quality of life extension to a SaaS application, right? This is all, in my mind at least, irrelevant. Simply because what happens today when models can do everything out of the box, right? When you log onto ChatGPT and you can ask it to write you an application and it just goes out and does it. Like, what do you do then? And what is important about the AI revolution is very much the ecosystem, right? So all of these agents that at some point in the future will go out and do stuff for us. And more importantly, who has the access and control over that ecosystem, right? Because if everything is done with OpenAI and ChatGPT, then all of a sudden OpenAI will be the most powerful company on the planet. Like, the world won't revolve, or it won't turn without
it's probably already the most powerful.
Yeah, and I personally don't really agree with that approach, right? I think that there should be a diversity in the ecosystem. Now, this is actually fairly easy to do. It's just that it's very hard for people to visualize in their heads what needs to be done. But in essence, as long as you spin up or an automated AI agent system that you have control over, you have essentially or built the foundation for how you will interact with markets, how you will interact with society, with the economy for the future. So this is very much why we go out and we advocate for sort of build your own automation platform. We don't really care how you do it. If you need some input on how to do it, we're here, right? Timspark and FenxLabs, we're both here to help you out.
Carl, I have a question to you as once again. And so you said that you are working with Timspark for many years, and it's interesting because
not many years. I think
one
9 months
year.
to a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my mistake. Sorry, but you seem to be like very experienced in this niche yourself. And if you can share the case, how you actually approached Timspark and what was your collaboration about, if it's not a secret, it would be, I think.
I don't know, Alex. I don't think it's a secret, so I'm just going to come out and tell the story.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, because we actually met during an expo last year, and then we got to talking, and I think that sort of some of the things that I said was a little bit revelatory to Alex, in the sense that, well, sort of a light bulb went off in his head. And we figured that, well, why don't we try and work together, try and see if there are any synergies. And that synergies has been mostly centered around the knowledge exchange, because, like I said, this has been not just a passion of mine. It's been an obsession of mine. It's probably the word I would use to describe it, for well over a decade. And more specifically, the things that interest me is how AI is going to reshape society and the economy. But as an extension to that, you also need to understand the underlying technology. And that is, so what Jimmy spoke about, for instance, that's one type of AI technology. And you have multitudes of them, right? So large language models, in fact, are built on a specific type of architecture called a transformer architecture, which is what the T in ChatGPT stands for. So when you have this conversation about AI, it's very important that you discuss or categorize the discussion or the topics correctly and assign them to the correct category. So when Jimmy said that his or that he predicted that automotive would be the first ones to automate, I actually don't think so. I think that the companies that manage to build this ecosystem using large language models and that can do that effectively, they will be the first, because and especially if they're lightweight businesses, like say an agency of some kind. I think that is true huge potential. And if you work for an agency out there, I would highly recommend that you start looking into how you can automate.
Okay, I think that, Carl, my last question before we open for a Q&A session is also about trends, because you also know the need of the market. Where we're going with that? How do you what's your opinion on that?
Well, so I think that we are currently in the short slide to the post-scarcity economy. There are different terms for this. Sam Altman, so the CEO of OpenAI, he calls it the Moore's law of everything, which is, essentially anyone can do anything because of AI. And I tend to believe that. When I see sort of the advances that are done on the model level, and then I extrapolate to the advances that can be done on the system level. So when you organize these models into an agentic system, the potential is huge. Like it's just immense. And personally, I think that humanity as a whole would be better off in a post-scarcity society, because money as a concept ceases to matter if there is an abundance of everything. So I think that's the trend that we are just now starting to see take effect.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. So right now we're open for questions from the chat. And I think that the first question is to Alex. Someone is asking if you are more focused on working with European clients or American clients, and if you have any vision on different differentiations between, let's say, needs of Europe and America.
Oh, well, actually, in terms of like our topic, we do have clients from UK, Benelux, but I can say actually that we are like a very high focus on a very specific region. So GCC area also look like promising for us too. But like speaking of the reality, North America, Europe are our like a top two clients in terms of the location. So in the nature of the request for some sort of custom AI development of this topic usually comes from these locations. In some ways, they foresee the future in the same way as we on this call. So these locations heavily invest in this topic which just described. So that's why these kind of two locations are priorities for us.
Okay. Carl, maybe you also have questions to Alex.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the territories that we cover, we tend to be a global organization. So we can serve everyone everywhere with the exception of blacklisted countries. And I think we all know what we think about when we say blacklisted countries. But yeah, no, so right now our primary focus is Europe and North America. But if someone comes in from anywhere else in the world and wants to see how they can automate, we are more than happy to have that conversation.
Okay. I think that probably we can close this conversation with some kind of final note or wish for us. Let's say we're meeting here in a year. What would be different, and how everything will change, and what can be done right now in terms of integrations of AI technologies in different businesses? How do you see it? Probably we can start with Alex, with you.
Okay. So what we're gonna see in 1 year, right?
And you can contribute it right now, so that we definitely can.
For me, it's a very interesting thing. As I already said, that yesterday was a big release, at least for me, in terms of OpenAI. Calling this thing like a GPT-5. It's all one thing. And I do believe that in 1 year, this NLP thing that I was saying today, hey, it's probably, I'd like to be like, it would be a big surprise for me. And I believe someone creates not the AGI yet in 1 year, but basically some sort of language model which could be very concrete and correct in terms of, solving the tasks, and for me this is like the first step for the for this whole concept of artificial general intelligence, because the ability for a tool or for ChatGPT to actually solve a puzzle. I'm talking about non-trivial ones, not the lead code tasks that all developers already, not the tasks that already have solution. And I believe probably in 1 year we will see something in this point, that some tasks that don't have like a very straightforward solution or haven't been like solved before will be done using this step. And secondly, as already said, it's a healthcare. I'm not talking about telemedicine here. The ability. All we need is to gather a lot of health data somehow, like with our watches, with our wearables. If we get a lot of data, I believe some models can predict even more narrow than the doctors do. And this could be like, the prediction, the life length prediction, some sort of prediction of, some sort of diseases, and ability to prevent them before they even happened. This could be very cool and very crucial in the upcoming year. Carl, what do you think?
Prediction game. That's always very, very hard. But I think that where we are in a year largely actually depends on whether there is a global recession or not. So if there is a global recession, then all of a sudden there is this incentive to start automating. because you need to save costs wherever you can. If there isn't a global recession, then this will be left up to the human adoption pace, and the human adoption pace is rather slow, if I'm going to be honest. So if we think about the last 2 years, right? So if you round it up, it's been 2 years in this Gen AI sort of way where this has been available for everyone to try. And what's happened in those 2 years is actually not that much, right? If we think about how things were, in say October 2022 and how things are today, they don't really feel all that different. And I actually attribute this to the human adoption rate, which moves a lot slower than the technological rate. Now, there is this, call it dynamic in this, where if everything just remains the same and the technological pace just continues to grow, then I fully foresee there coming a situation where whatever companies that capitalizes on the fact that they can do stuff technologically first just outcompetes everyone that doesn't, right? But I don't think that takes a year. I think we're talking about a 3-year sort of horizon on that sort of dynamic. But if there is a global recession, then all of a sudden everyone has an incentive to automate as much as possible. So I would say that's sort of the big question for me, is global recession or not.
Yeah, I think that after this live stream, I will post all our insights on the LinkedIn page, and let's definitely compare notes in a year and see who wins. I think the last question we have here, Alex, can you please highlight the role of Internet of Things in custom software development and its impact on business operations?
Well, the IoT topic is another thing that becomes, pretty normal these days, and what we, can't imagine like 10 years ago, probably, because we have like a bunch of small devices connected to the internet right now, to this whole, global network. But speaking of, our company, our Timspark, we had like an interesting collaboration with one UK startup. These guys have their own hardware. So like Jimmy said, that someone develops hardware, someone develops software. So they have their own hardware. They monitor carbon emissions, and they ask us, our like a core team, like a small number of very talented engineers, to create all the deployment pipeline into the cloud. So again, I believe that in the upcoming years, in our near future, IoT things and all these devices, the smart houses, the connections to the smartphones and ability to control something using our smartphone, we will see even more, integration of these devices. And I believe the Timspark can support our clients developing that solutions.
Okay, great. I think that if you don't have any other questions, and I don't see them in chat, I think that thank you guys for this conversation. It was really very nice to see both of you and Jimmy, obviously. And like I said, so this live stream will be saved on my page. I will definitely share it with everyone who listened to us today. It was around 30 people. Thank you everyone for joining us. And I think that those people who registered at this event, it's around 100 other people. I will send the email and don't think that this is a spam. It's not a spam. I will be happy to answer any questions if you guys have it. And also, if you need me to connect you with our speakers, also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or in the email. I will be happy to share their contacts and connect you if you need any help. Yes, thank you everyone. And
thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us today. Have a great weekend.
All right,
yes.
have a great
Bye-bye.
weekend. Bye now.